Standing by. Well, welcome back to VIR, where we look high above Virginia International Raceway as we turn our attention now to SVRA. Vintage racing at its finest, the largest club in the United States for vintage racing, and a massive field here once again, a record field in many ways, and everybody itching to go racing again. Obviously COVID, as it has with all sport this year, has had an impact on racing, and therefore not as many races in the calendar as always. But they're making do, and they're getting out there when they get the opportunity, and here is one of those opportunities. Well, SVRA, if you're new to it, is the largest and oldest vintage racing organization in the USA, originally named the Southeast Vintage Racing Association, and was founded all the way back in 1978 by Ford Haycock, and started off with just 25 drivers, and now there are more than 2,000 licensed members of SVRA, run by Tony Perella. And as you look down, we are getting ready for the first of our feature races that we've seen. This is Group 8 and Group 12B, and looking forward to this one. This is a Series 4 sports cars and sedans in production to 1972. Mainly sports cars and sedans. And all the cars prepared to SCCA standards from 1972 or earlier. And here we come down the hill. The safety car's lights are off, which means we will be going racing fairly soon. I say fairly soon, it should be in just a couple of seconds. And as you can see, another big field of cars getting ready to go racing. So we are about to get underway, and it is the 242 Alfa Romeo who leads the way as the green flag waves. And it's Mark Brummond, who's already been in action earlier today in his BMW in Trans Am. He's been racing in SGT and now leading the field here. And Scott Kissinger in the 202, just behind him. So a good clean start, rolling start as always. But it's the Alfa that leads the way and already pulling away at the front, the two. And as we said, this is sedan cars basically from 72 and earlier. A lot of Datsuns out there. The odd BMW, as you can see, the 164 coming through. And lovely overhead shots of the Virginia International Raceway as the field starts to spread out here in our first feature race. This is Group 8 and Group 12B. And already, Brummond starting to pull away in the Alfa, but in fact the two of them pulling away from the rest of the field. So a good clean start, got some good jostling for position in the midfield. And it's great to see these HMS prepared BMWs out there. Their pit or preparation area just behind our commentary position. Ooh, Ford Capri there, I think. Very nice indeed. So we're underway and up and running here in SVRA. As we see them, we'll give you an indication of the cars that we've got out on track. And it's a packed field, as I said, everybody itching to get on track, having had so much time off. Now, already, we've got a change in the lead, as it looks as though Drummond has lost that lead. I don't know if he made a mistake there or not, but it was just down the back straight. Looks like Scott Kissinger has taken the lead in the Datsun in the 202. And sure enough, starting to pull away at the front. And look at the gap they've already got on the third place man. And that's Chip Stabler in the 827. The BMW of Stabler trying to stay up with the leaders, but he's lost a lot of ground. But though, to be fair to him, he's pulled away from the rest of the pack, so he's on his own too as he heads through towards NASCAR again. And a little further back, we're looking at the rest of the field. Now we're starting to see the timings coming through. Stinson in 7th, Nash, Glavin, Davenport in 10th place ahead of Davis in 11th. Alderman just behind in 12th position as the field starts to spread out. Dull, Wright, and Vaccaro, your top 15 here at VIR. And they had practice this morning and qualifying this morning, and in what was rather wet conditions because we had a lot of rain overnight and during the test day yesterday. So this is the first time really these guys have had a run in the dry, and the race at the front is continuing with a pace because back into the lead goes Brumman. So this is a good ding-dong battle between the pair of them. But look at the gap they've already pulled down the back straight here at VIR over the third place man, Stabler. Dunbar in 4th place, Byrne in 5th place, and Jim Lenahan in 6th place ahead of Paul Stinson in 7th. John Nash in 8th position, Bill Glavin in 9th, and Rob Davenport rounding out the top 10 here in the early stages of this one. Down roller coaster they come. This is the third place man at the moment, Stabler. Trying to stay or see if he can catch up with the leaders, but the distance they've already got away from him, I think there's not much chance of that. And again, a change in lead because Brumman now back to 2nd place. So these two are going at it. I think it's down the back straight where they're making the moves, but they're pretty close at the moment. Most of these drivers know each other's racing very well indeed. They take part in vintage racing all across America in SVRA. That's some of the most iconic circuits, and it's a joy to watch them. Our motto is, we don't just look at art, we race it. And there really are some beautiful machines out here, well prepared, beautifully looked after, and restored, and kept to the modifications as best they can to how they raced at the time. Now we're looking at the number 38 Mazda. And like I said, this is our Group 8. And high above the VIR circuit, I'm just pausing because my cohort, Ben Sissel's getting himself into position. And I'm sure if he wasn't sitting in the commentary booth, he'd be out there if he had a chance.
Oh, I wish. And I love the production cars, and then I tend a little bit more towards the small bore, but this is kind of what I would consider the medium bore production cars.
Yep. And quite a variance out there in terms of different cars. I mean, you've got the Japanese, obviously, who made their names in the early 70s, late 60s, and were a real force to be reckoned with. And they were the sort of second wave. If the Europeans came to race in America, it was the Japanese who then took on the Americans after that. And so, yep, they've got a big and distinguished history here. And it also made racing more affordable to Americans. There was a lot of Americans who wouldn't have thought of going racing because it was all Ferraris, or, you know, factory entries in terms of Trans Am or...
well, a lot of the guys, like in the SCCA in like the 50s and 60s, And, we're racing British cars.
Sure.
And here comes Datsun to make basically a British car reliable. So they just all kind of shifted to that. Because that was, unthinkable for the British car guys.
Only an American could get away with that. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, an MG guy like me to think, I can drive a 240 or look at this. So that's Mark Drummond in the 242. Yes. And we saw him in the TA SGT race. He was in that beautiful BMW, and now he's in the 242 Alpha trying to make his move on Scott Kissinger in the 240Z.
Well, these two have been swapping paint literally for the last 3 laps. They've changed position 3 times already.
I love it.
And
so let me explain this. Mark Drummond is actually, they're in the same race, but he's actually racing in top in Group 12.
Gotcha.
And then there's Group 8. And basically what it is Group 12 is, I think, from like 1980 on or 1972 on. And then, is that Kissinger?
That could be Kissinger,
I think
and
he's
if it
off.
Is, yeah.
So, and then Kissinger's
so that battle
in
now
Group
it's
8.
well and truly over because it was going nicely until a moment. Yeah, it is Kissinger. So up until a moment ago, he was line abreast. Now Stabler goes up to second place in the BMW. So I'm not sure what Scott Kissinger did there, but it was on the straight, but I think he made a mistake, and now we're looking for him to see where he comes in. Here he is.
You never think that a Porsche 914 is a big car until you see it behind a Lotus Elan. Then it looks like a boat.
Yep.
And look at this. So that's Paul Stinson right there in that Lotus 7. So he's got a huge advantage right now over that Datsun 510 in the aerodynamics and lightness. But the Datsun has a little bit more power. Yeah, exactly.
That's the disadvantage he's got. He doesn't want to get into the draft of it. He'll get a nice draft because he's so low, but he won't be able to see anything.
And so it looks like Kissinger's trying to get his power back. So he just went off, didn't hit anything, but he's going to be kicking himself for that. But I think he's going to put himself back up there with Chip Stabler here before the end of it in that BMW.
So SVRA at VIR, as it should be, a classic circuit with classic cars. This circuit's been running since the late 50s. And back in the day, all the great cars have been here. Over the years, from Trans Am to sports car racing, IMSA, you name it. It's delighted to bring you the action from SVRA, and thankful that it's not in pouring rain. Yesterday, these guys were hooning round, especially the open-wheel Lotuses, in atrocious conditions.
Look at that Porsche outbraking the Datsun. He's got the good brakes and balance there with a mid-engine car over that Datsun. Datsun's got the horsepower, but this is what I love about vintage racing is you can really see the difference in the cars, and then the cars are all set up different. Like the difference between a 914, a Datsun 240, and a Lotus 7 is astronomical, but here they are racing nearly the same lap times. It's really fun to watch. All those cars look so different. They have totally different approaches to design, and there we've got Bill Glavin in that beautiful E30 M3, John Nash in that Lotus 7, and then I think, let me look at my reviews. He's in a new car to me.
Well, George Wright's behind him in the 38, yeah.
Oh, no, Linehan. Okay, so I'm messed up, sorry. My favorite car in this group, and I haven't seen a shot of it yet, is Sharon Edelman. She's got this beautiful blue Jannetta. She's number 3. Right now she's currently in 12th place, but I hope we get a shot of that. And then Caesar Cohn, who won the Gold Cup here years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, is in 19th place in the yellow Alfa Romeo. But, man, this Datsun 510 is really trying to get it to Paul Stinson. That's Steve Byrne in the Datsun 510.
Well, how do you decide, as we're looking at Scott Kissinger, he's managed to make it up to 4th again, but how do you decide to put Group 8 with Group 12B? How does that, in terms of
it's basically
understanding how the groups work?
A safety thing. So we have to, we get who's coming about 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, and then we try to put them like, here comes a good pass right there. I think that's Billy Glavin right there coming into 11. But you don't really want to put open wheel cars.
Sure.
With box cars, production cars, and then you kind of base it on lap times and what cars, for me, from a video perspective or photo perspective, I like cars that look right on track.
Yeah,
I feel like this group, the Group 12 cars, a lot of them have an advantage over these Group 8 cars just because of years and technology and innovation, but they still look right on track. But I love the B sedans. So you've got the BMW 2002s, the Datsun 510s, and there's Rob Davenport in his Alfa Romeo right there.
That's a beauty, isn't it?
The prettiest B sedan made. I think, is that one. But while we're talking about B sedans, Jonathan, you mind giving up your headset? We've got a legend up here that I want to talk to, and he's going to join us maybe a little bit in this group and maybe a little bit in the next group as we show the last lap sign, and we'll still call the race, but we have Phil Wicks. The first time I was ever in a race car, he sat next to me. We're both Mini enthusiasts, but Phil Wicks, if you've ever seen the original Italian Job, Phil Wicks drove the red car in the movie, the stunt driver. He drove it through the brick wall many times. We're going to get to that, Phil, because we got to finish this last lap.
Yeah.
But tell us what you're seeing. I know you've done some commentating in your past, so you tell us, because you've raced with these cars in the day.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm so pleased to see the Alfa lead him. I used to own an Alfa dealership in England, London, and I built and raced, you know, GT Sprints. I've never raced a GT6 like this car, but when I saw it earlier today, I was telling my Zapata teammates, watch that Alfa. They are fast. It's a flat six engine, mid-engine. So it's not front, not rear, mid-engine. The balance is beautiful, and if you can get them going like this guy's got it going, watch out. You know, you got a fast car.
And, you know, it's funny because being a Mini Cooper driver, and for you, it's all about balance, isn't it? You look at cars for balance and handling.
Well, that's right. I mean, Mini Coopers and the smaller bore cars, they're what we call momentum cars. You can't back off. You just got to keep your foot on the deck and keep going, giving it plenty of welly, as we say.
So there we go. We got Mark Brumman in Group 12 taking the checkered flag of Virginia International Raceway. I love that new tower. It's a beautiful circuit, isn't it, Phil?
Oh, wonderful. I've raced it many times in this race. In fact, I've won the Gold Cup in my class 6 times in the small bore class in my Mini. Had many a battle with Sprites, Midgets and other Mini Coopers and Fiats and Fiat Arbas. Oh yeah, I love VIR. It's definitely in my top 2 or 3 favorite tracks in America.
Yeah. So we've got Mark Brumman in first in Group 12. Chip Stabler, second place in Group 12. Coming in first in Group 8 is Scott Kissinger. He was able to rebound. Keith Dunbar, second in Group 8. Jim Lenahan, third in Group 8. Paul Stinson, fourth. Steve Byrne, fifth. And Billy Glavin, rounded out Group 12 top 3 in that beautiful E30. Look at this, a Ford Capri, and Rob Davenport going at it at the start-finish line. There's that beautiful Jannetta of Sharon Edelman. I love that car. And then our friend David Bearden, he should be coming up here pretty soon, correct? Where's David Bearden in that Porsche 911 RS? Some more Alphas. You got to love those Alphas. I like cars that are designed first for beauty and then for power. And there he is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Brumman, first place in the Alfa Romeo. So you run your race school at VIR, so you're really familiar with the circuit.
Yeah, we normally come here once a year. We haven't been able to come this year. Some domestic issues I had to take care of at home. Some serious domestic issues. My wife was sick with cancer for 2 years, and she finally passed away. So we're rebooting and revitalized, and we're coming back strong next year.
So how do we find your racing school?
Minidriving.com is the website. Go on there. We do teach racing. Essentially, it's a driver improvement course. I would estimate there's probably about 10 racers here this weekend that have graduated to Phil Wicks Driving Academy.
That's awesome. So there we go. The Haycock Classic Gold Cup Historic Races. Mark Brumman first in Group 12. Chip Stabler second in Group 12. Scott Kissinger first and 8. Keith Dunbar second. Jim Lenahan third and 8th. And then Bill Glavin rounds out the Group 12 in his beautiful BMW E30. We're going to take a break here from VIR, but then we're going to be back with more fantastic racing and Phil Wicks here in the booth with us in just a little bit.